Let me tell you about a date that doesn't appear on a single piece of IPO marketing material, isn't mentioned in any of the hype videos, and almost nobody who lines up to buy a hot IPO on day one has circled on their calendar. The date is day 181. And on a lot of the most exciting IPOs in modern history, day 181 is the day the retail investor quietly loses about half their money. I know that sounds dramatic, so let me earn it. Today we're going to talk about the SpaceX IPO, or really any blockbuster IPO that fits this pattern, and the math of what actually happens when you click buy on the morning the stock goes public. And I'm going to give you one number, one date, and one metaphor that I'll keep coming back to for the rest of this video. The number is the lockup. The date is day 181. And the metaphor is the back door. By the end of this, you'll be able to run the same math on any IPO that lands in your feed, and you'll never look at a first day pop the same way again. Let me say what this video is not. This is not a video about SpaceX being a bad company. SpaceX is, by almost any honest engineering standard, one of the most extraordinary companies ever built. They land orbital rockets on barges. They put more mass into orbit in a year than the rest of humanity combined. If you want to bet on the long-term future of access to space, I get it. I genuinely do. This is also not a video about Elon Musk or about whether you should believe in the mission. You can love the company, love the founder, love the technology, and still get absolutely run over on day one. Those two things are not in conflict. A great company can be a terrible trade at the wrong price. And this is not a video about IPOs being scams. They are not scams. They are a perfectly legal, perfectly logical mechanism for the people who took the early risk to get paid. That's the whole point of an IPO. The system is working exactly as designed. The problem is just that most retail investors don't understand which side of the design they are standing on. So let me build this from the ground up. What is an IPO really? Strip away the confetti and the ringing bell on the exchange floor, and an IPO is one thing. It's the moment a private company opens a door to the public so that the people who already own shares can finally sell them. That's it. It is, at its core, an exit. It's called an initial public offering, but what's being offered is the chance for early investors and employees to convert paper wealth into actual cash. You, the retail buyer, are the one bringing the cash. Hold on to that. Because everything else in this video flows from it. Now, here's where the back door comes in. Picture a very exclusive club. There's a line out front around the block. The line is full of regular people holding their phones, watching influencers live stream from the front of the line, telling them this is the night, this is the moment, you don't want to miss this. Inside the club, the VIPs have been there for years. They got in when there was no line. They got in when the place was a half-empty warehouse with folding chairs. They paid almost nothing to get in. And tonight, when the front doors finally swing open and the crowd rushes in waving cash, the VIPs are not staying for the party. They are quietly walking out the back, suitcases in hand, smiling. The cash the crowd is bringing in the front is the cash the VIPs are walking out with in the back. Same building, two doors, opposite directions. That is an IPO. The front door is the buy button on your brokerage app. The back door is the lockup expiration. Let me show you the numbers. A company like SpaceX is not a company that's been valued at $10 a share its entire life. It has been a private company for over 2 decades, raising money in rounds. Early employees got stock options at strike prices that, on a split-adjusted basis, were measured in cents or low single-digit dollars. Early venture investors bought in at valuations that, share for share, work out to something in the neighborhood of $10, $15, $20 a share. That's their cost basis. That's what they paid for their ticket years ago when nobody was sure rockets would land on barges. Now imagine that company finally goes public and the IPO price gets set between the company and its underwriters at, say, $60 a share. That's already a phenomenal outcome for the insiders. They've made 4, 5, 6 times their money on paper. But here's the thing about IPO day. The price you see at $60 is the price institutional clients of the big banks get. By the time the stock actually opens for public trading, the hype has done its work. Financial news has been talking about it for weeks. Influencers have been posting about generational wealth, and the first trade prints at, let's say, $100 a share. That's the price you're staring at on your phone, $100. The retail investor opens their app, sees the green numbers, and buys. Read those numbers again slowly. The early insiders are in around $15. The IPO price is $60. You are buying at $100. The stock has already moved roughly 700% from the insider cost basis before you've owned it for a single second. You did not get in early, you got in last. Now here's the part the headlines get wrong. They love to write about the first day pop. The stock closed up 40% on its first day of trading. Look at the demand. look at the excitement, and it sounds like good news. But ask yourself, good news for whom? A first-day pop means the company sold its shares to insiders too cheaply, and the gap between the IPO price and the public price got captured by, you guessed it, the people who got allocated shares before you did. The pop is not your win. The pop is the receipt for someone else's win. But here is where the real math lives, because none of what I just described is, by itself, a disaster. A great company can grow into a high price over time. What turns this from a rich valuation into a structural trap is one specific legal feature of almost every IPO, the lockup period. When a company goes public, the early investors, employees, and insiders are contractually prohibited from selling their shares for a defined window, usually 180 days, 6 months. That's the lockup. It exists for a perfectly sensible reason. If insiders could dump their shares on day one, no public investor would ever buy an IPO. The lockup is there to give the stock time to find its feet before the original owners are allowed to leave. So for the first 180 days, the only people who can sell are the people who bought at the IPO. The supply of shares in the public market is artificially capped. Demand is high, supply is throttled, and the price floats on hype. This is the honeymoon. This is when financial media writes the stories about how the stock is up since the IPO and the long-term holders are being rewarded. This is when your friend texts you that he's up 30% in 2 months and asks if you bought any. And then comes day 181. On day 181, the doors come off. Every employee who has been watching this stock climb for 6 months, who has a mortgage and a family and a number in their head that means they never have to work again, is now legally allowed to sell. Every venture capital fund that bought in years ago at $15 a share and is now sitting on paper gains of 900% or more is allowed to sell. Every early investor who has been waiting 2 decades to convert paper to cash is allowed to sell. So run the one number on it. If insiders hold, let's say, 50 million shares that are unlocked on day 181, and the price has been floating at $100, and even a fraction of them decide to take their generational win off the table, what happens? Basic supply and demand. The float, the number of shares actually available to trade, can double or triple overnight. The buyers who were chasing the stock at 100 are suddenly looking at a wall of sellers, happy to take 80, then 70, then 60. The price doesn't fall because the company got worse. The company is exactly the same on day 181 as it was on day 180. The price falls because the supply of shares in the market just exploded. Now let me be honest about the catch, because this is a math channel, not a hype channel. Not every lockup expiration causes a crash. Some companies grow into their valuations. Some insiders are restricted by further agreements. Some sell in orderly, pre-announced plans that the market absorbs gracefully. The lockup cliff is not a guarantee of disaster. What it is a structural risk that the IPO marketing will not mention to you. Nobody whose job is to sell you the IPO is incentivized to point at day 181 on the calendar, so I will. Let me give you a real example, because I don't want this to be theoretical. Rivian Automotive went public in November 2021. It was, at the time, one of the most hyped IPOs in years, an electric truck company backed by Amazon, with a beautiful product and a compelling story. Retail piled in. Within days of going public, Rivian's market capitalization climbed past $100 billion. Let me say that number again, slowly. $100 billion. That made Rivian, on paper, worth more than Ford and General Motors combined. 2 companies that, between them, sold millions of vehicles a year. Rivian, at that moment, had sold a few hundred. You did not need to be a forensic accountant to spot that something was structurally off. You just needed to be willing to look at the number and ask whether it made sense, and then the lockup came off. And then the insiders, sitting on enormous paper gains, did exactly what rational humans do when they have a chance to convert a once-in-a-career outcome into actual money. They sold. Not all at once, not maliciously, just rationally. And the stock fell, and fell, and fell. From its peak, Rivian lost roughly 80% of its value. Retail investors who bought into the hype near the top were not bailed out by belief in the product. The trucks were still being built, the factory was still running, the math just caught up with the price. That is not a SpaceX prediction. I want to be careful here. I have no idea what SpaceX stock will do on its first day, or its 180th day, or its 10th year. Nobody does. Not me, not Elon, not the analyst on television with the confident voice. Anyone who tells you they know what a stock will do is either lying to you or to themselves. What I can tell you is the structure. And the structure is the same for every IPO. Insiders bought low, retail buys high, lockup holds the supply back for a while, lockup expires, supply floods in. Whatever happens next, that mechanism is real, it is mathematical, and it will be operating in the background of any IPO you decide to participate in. So let me do the what would it take math, because I think it's the most honest way to think about this. Suppose you buy SpaceX at $100 on day one. For you to do better than just sticking the same money into a boring broad market index fund averaging, let's say, 10% a year, the stock has to do more than survive the lockup. It has to outperform that boring fund, after the lockup shock, after taxes, after everything. The bar is not does SpaceX go up. The bar is does SpaceX go up enough, fast enough, to beat the dumbest, laziest investment I could have made instead. That is the real comparison. And the moment you frame it that way, the calculation gets much, much harder. Because you're not just hoping for a great company, you're hoping for a great company at a price low enough that the boring index can't keep up. Buying at the maximum hype price makes that math nearly impossible. Run the number on it. If the stock drops 50% in the first year after lockup expiration, which again has happened to plenty of hot IPOs, and then it has to climb back, and then it has to beat 10% annual compounding, starting from your original entry price, you are looking at needing the company to roughly quadruple from the post-crash bottom over the next several years just to match what the index would have done while you sat there doing nothing. That is not impossible. It's just not the easy generational wealth slam dunk it gets sold as. So who is this video for? Let me be straight with you. If you are an accredited investor who got into SpaceX through a private fund years ago, this video is not for you. You're already inside the club. Congratulations, genuinely. If you have already decided you want to own a small, deliberate position in SpaceX as a long-term believer, and you understand you might watch it fall 50% in year one and you can sit through that without flinching, then this video is also not really aimed at you. Buy what you can sleep through. That's your call to make. This video is for the person who has been watching the countdown, listening to the hype, refreshing the brokerage app, planning to put real money in on day one because they don't want to miss the rocket. To that person, I'd say, you are not early. The early people are the ones whose calendar already has day 181 circled. You are the door they are walking out of. That doesn't mean don't buy. It means know which door you're standing in front of and decide whether you want to walk through it at full price or whether you want to wait 6 months, watch the lockup come and go, see where the price settles when actual supply meets actual demand, and then decide. There are two loud opinions on every IPO. One side says, buy at all costs, you'll regret missing this is generational. The other side says, all IPOs are scams, never touch them, the whole market is rigged. Both of them are wrong, and both of them are loud for the same reason. Certainty sells. The quiet third path is the boring one. Read the lockup terms. Look at the insider cost basis. Ask what percentage of shares are unlocked and when. Compare the price to the boring alternative. And if you still want in, size your position to a number you can lose without it changing your life. The future is unknowable. The structure is not. One number, one date, one door, the lockup. Day 181, the back door. That's the whole video. If you remember nothing else, remember this. On IPO day, the question is not, is this a great company? The question is, am I buying the front door while someone else is walking out the back? If running the numbers before you make a move is the way you want to think about money, subscribe. That's the whole point of this channel. We do the math calmly, so you don't have to take anyone's word for it, not theirs and not mine. I'll see you in the next.